The release of Venom: Let There Be Carnage broke the record for the biggest US box office opening of any movie, which means that yet another sequel might already be in the making, on the idea side of things at least. So today, we are going to have a first look and tell you everything we know so far about the third Venom sequel, which is bound to happen. Recap. Before we go into any detail about what is coming, let's reflect a bit on what we already have on our hands. And spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Venom: Let There Be Carnage, there will be spoilers up ahead. So don't you go saying we didn't warn you.
You know how lucky you are that I chose you.
You chose me?
Now, with that out of the way, it is time to dig in. The bombshell post-credit scene in the sequel seriously shook the audience, and a little bit later in the video, we are going to take a look at what Tom Hardy and Andy Serkis said about the future of the franchise. The sequel racked up a very good $11.6 million on the preview night alone, with the movie expected to break $50 million in domestic ticket sales for the opening weekend. There were mixed reviews about the movie, but as with the first movie, this critical consensus will mean little to audiences keen on watching how Eddie Brock and his symbiote friend are going to be integrated into the MCU. Venom: Let There Be Carnage promises to up the stakes when compared to the first movie, delivering visceral fight scenes, Marvel Easter eggs, which is a new one, and a glut of slithering symbiote fun despite the 1.5-hour runtime of the movie. The sequel also introduced us to several new superpowered characters, including the likes of Carnage, of course, portrayed by Woody Harrelson, his mistress Shriek, played by Naomie Harris, and Stephen Graham's Mulligan, and his bonding with Toxin. After 3 years of waiting for the Venom sequel, the furor around it has understandably been intense, and not just from the fans. Many of the core team were not shy to speculate things on where the Venom franchise will go next. And we have Tom Hardy and director Andy Serkis, both of whom have said a few words about what is coming in the future. Tom Hardy on Venom 3. Tom has confirmed that plans for a third movie are already in motion, all thanks to the sequel's success.
I think the more team refines and the more times they work with people over and over again, it's a further engagement.
He states that he worked on his untitled Venom 3 script in tandem while filming the second one, adding the continuity factor to his character. Hardy was much more involved with the writing side of things on the sequel, sharing story credits with returning screenwriter Kelly Marcel. Expressing his continued attachment to the role, he has undoubtedly made his own since the debut of Venom in 2018. While Tom said that the success of the second movie will be pivotal for a third movie, he is quite sure that it is bound to happen. As the studio, Sony, was pleased with number 2, he added. Andy Serkis teases more RAVENCROFT villains. Tom Hardy's confidence about a third movie is shared by the director of the 2 movies from the franchise, Andy Serkis, who is already mocking up the ideas for the next Venom movie. The second installment of Venom introduced the RAVENCROFT Institute, a shady facility designed to contain and study dangerous superpowered individuals. Andy Serkis has already added that there is a real mileage in some of the other supervillains that reside in Ravenscroft.
Right atmosphere to work and creating the right believability for, when you're working with big visual effects.
Hinting at his desire to utilize the asylum in future installments. The talks of a villain-centric Sinister Six are persisting following the MCU shift into the multiverse territory. Thus, utilizing the setting of Ravenscroft would be a smart move by Serkis for sure, allowing him to integrate all manner of Marvel villains seamlessly into the Venom narrative. Venom 2's ending setting up a sequel. The final scenes of Venom: Let There Be Carnage see Venom sharing his symbiote knowledge with Eddie before the room starts shaking and multiple realities are flashing before them, which have been confirmed to be the doings of Doctor Strange's spell he is performing for Peter Parker, which we will see in the next Spider-Man movie releasing later this year. Emerging from these visions, they find themselves in a different hotel room, now during the day, realizing it wasn't Venom's doing. They also see a TV set projecting J. Jonah Jameson's mid-tirade about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, a direct confirmation that Venom's next sequel will finally be an opportunity for Spidey and Venom to come face-to-face, hopefully. Venom 3 release date and trailer. Given that the second movie from the anticipated threequel has just been released, we could only throw a dart at the calendar, and it would be a good guess as to when the third sequel will release. However, the sources said that the works for a third sequel are already in motion, which is a good sign. Are details which are pointing that we will probably wait a little less than 3 years for another Venom movie. Maybe sometime in 2023, the latest? We're not quite sure. This also goes for a trailer of the sort. We will have to wait for the movie to start filming to get teaser footage of any kind, which might come as early as late 2022. So keep your eyes open for any new details coming your way. Venom 3 cast. We are bound to see Tom Hardy reprising his role as Eddie Brock. He is the face of Venom after all, especially given his work behind the scenes on story creation and producing side of things. As for other actors from the sequel, those returning would likely include Stephen Graham, whose Detective Mulligan managed to survive being strung up by the neck with a chain and what looked like a serious spinal injury. He will most certainly play the character of Toxin, as his final moments on the screen showed him with blue glowing eyes, babbling about monsters. The return of Michelle Williams as Anne and She-Venom is still unclear, but we hope she does. She was not given any more screen time in the sequel as She-Venom, something she had expressed wanting to explore even before the sequel came out. A third movie could see her wish come true, making yet another appearance in the franchise together with sometimes unwilling participant of it fiancé, Dan Lewis, portrayed by Reid Scott. And even though the movie finishes with Eddie and Venom on the run, we hope to see Peggy Lou as Miss Chin, the owner of the local convenience store. Less likely to return is Woody Harrelson as Cletus Kasady, aka Carnage, as we saw him getting his head bitten off by Venom. Naomie Harris's Shriek is also a cast member we won't be seeing in the next sequel, as we saw her getting crushed by falling rubble and a massive church bell. But you can never say never, right? This is everything we know about the cast side of things, as there are no other confirmations given to the public as of yet. Venom 3 plot. So will Venom 3 feature Spider-Man? The one question bothering us all. Well, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige hinted that it is not up to him, as both characters Venom and Spider-Man are from Sony. It is up to them, as he put it. He also added that at some point, with Venom 3 probably being that point and the sequel setting up a crossover, seems like we might get Spidey in the third sequel of Venom. However, this is just an educated guess, so don't take our word for it yet. The second crossover hint is Eddie watching Simmons, Jameson, in his Spider-Man Far From Home cameo, revealing Spider-Man's identity. No details about the plot of the third movie have been confirmed, so we're in the blue at this moment. But no matter what the case may be, we are in for a ride to say the least. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on Venom as a character? And in what way would you like to see him confronting or teaming up with Spider-Man in the future? And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you would like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.